My name is Kajsa. I'm a voice actor, stage actor, and singer. Have you ever wondered what it's like to work as a voice actor? In today's episode, Elisabeth Gauthier Pelletier, the Québec French voice of Charliemorningstar in the Amazon Prime show Has Been Not Tell, will share her experience of voicing an energetic, fun, and hopeful character with many dreams. She'll also provide insight into the Québec French dubbing industry. You're listening to episode 3 of Voices and Visions Behind the Scenes. Hello Elisabeth, and welcome to Voices and Visions Behind the Scenes.
Hi, Kajsa. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good too.
Could you please introduce yourself for the viewers?
Yeah. So my name is Elisabeth Gauthier Pelletier. I'm 31 years old. Um, and I'm a voice actress. I do dubbing, I do audiobook. Um, I do a lot of things too. I studied in musical theater and in theater, but today we're talking about some dubbing.
Yes. You're also a singer, right?
Yeah, a singer too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a little bit of stage acting as well. So
Yeah, exactly. Musical theater shows. Yeah.
And how did you get started with the voice acting? And what inspired you to pursue this career?
How did I get to start in voice acting? Well, in voice acting, it's a lot of contacts. And well, first, of course, I started to sing at the age of 10 years old. After I did like art concentration in the secondary school, and after I did musical theater. So, musical theater and dubbing and voice acting, it's kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
a little bit, the same kind of vibe. So, yeah, I always wanted to do some voices, some dubbing. I think there's a lot of people that can relate to that. It's like a kid's dream to do that, I think. So I always wanted to do that. And uh, when I've been out of school, I think it was, yeah, in 2016, I put like all of my money into voice formations. Uh, and I had an opportunity that in the industry, it didn't have like any kind of, not kids' voices, but like teen voices. There was not a lot. So I know my agent talked to someone who did a lot of dubbing in the industry, and she was like, "Oh, we need teen voices." And my agent was like, "Oh, I have a girl that can sing too, but that wants to do that." And I kind of did a demo of Frozen. So yeah, I just sent her, and she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try her, and I'm gonna do a formation with her." So it kind of started like that. I had a lot of luck to
Yeah.
enter the industry like that.
And but did you start with stage acting, musical theaters, and then translate it into voice acting?
Yeah, well, as I said, I put all my money in the voice acting thing, but on the side, I started doing musical theater. Like my first show, I think it was in like 2018.
Oh.
Yeah. So like 2 years, like a big show. It was 2 years after school.
Cool.
So yeah. And I've started doing dubbing since 2018 too. It was like my first little voices in movies. Not a big thing, but
Yeah.
you have to start somewhere. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And what are some of your most significant roles you voiced, and what was your first dubbing role, if you remember?
Most significant role. Well, in the last year, I'm very lucky. I had kind of a lot. I can say in 2018, I had The Lion King. I did Nala voice, not the singing part. My friend had it,
Oh.
but yeah, that's kind of weird. So that's nice. Um, I did Viva in the Trolls, the third one, the last one. After that, Deadpool.
Mm.
Yeah, I did Cassandra Nova in Deadpool, the last one too. So yeah, and of course we'll talk about it, but I did Charlie Morningstar in Has Been Hotel.
Yes.
So yeah. And you said what was my first dubbing role? Of course, it was not a big thing. I think it was called Dog Days. It was a movie, a little movie, and we I don't know how we say that in English, how it's called. It's kind of crowd voices,
Oh, yeah,
like
like
in the
the wall.
background of
Yeah, background noises.
the walla,
Yeah.
exactly the walla.
Oh, you
Yeah,
started
so I
there.
did the walla on the Dog Days movie that no one recalls what it is, but yeah, and it's super weird and nice at the same time because we had to improvise text in the walla, so it's really difficult and intimidating at first when you start. You're like, I have to improvise. What the fuck? Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah, and how did you feel to go into the studio for the first time? Were you ever nervous, and did you ever feel like, oh no, the timing, it's so overwhelming? Because you gotta time, and talk as you hear the original voice.
Yeah. All of that. It was so stressful. Uh, yeah, I remember I wasn't able to breathe right. So, and when you don't breathe right when you're doing dubbing, it's like it's not that much working because you lose the humanly I don't know how to say that, but like the emotions are not
Mm.
quite right. So yeah, it was really, really tough because at the same time, the director cast you on it and you want him to be proud to choose you to do the part. So you have kind of that pressure and he doesn't know you a lot, so you want to prove him something. So yeah, there's a lot of stress at first. Yeah. But after years of doing that, you're like, oh, okay, it's fine. And now all the directors are kind of your friend and it's easier. You you kind of don't have to well, prove less something to people. You just know what you can do. And sometimes like I don't know if we'll talk about it later, but like director when I said it was a thing of contacts. It's the directors that cast people on movies. So if they don't know you, they won't cast you. But yeah, it's kind of you need to be not friend, but you need to be able to, I don't know, they will cast you if they know first you're good, you're doing a great job. You can do maybe a lot of different kind of voices and that you're a nice person to hang out with. Because if you're pretty good, but you have an attitude and you're kind of, they don't like your personality, well, of course, they will not want to work with you. So, yeah.
Did you study at any specific schools, university, to become actor and singer?
Yes, I did musical theater from 2010 to 2013 at Lionel Groux in Sainte-Thérèse. It's like maybe an hour or like 40 minutes from Montreal. And after that, I did 3 other years in theater at the same school. So I did pretty much like 6 years in school.
Yeah.
At the same school. So it was a lot of years. Like usually people don't do 2 programs. So yeah.
And are there any voice actors, singers who particularly inspires you when you do dubbing or acting?
That's a pretty good question because I'm not a fangirl. Of course, all the, I don't know, the Disneys that I saw when I was a kid, Aladdin, I really liked it. The Little Mermaid. I think those animated movies inspired me to do dubbing. And I know my mother, well, at home, my mother was always looking at the TV. So the TV was always on. So I heard a lot of dubbing movies, series, and all of that. So it was kind of in my life already, like always. I always hear in the background all of these dubbings. But I don't have I couldn't point out a person particularly that inspired me. But now today, I would say that all of my colleagues inspire me because when I go to see a movie at the movie theater, and I like to hear the dubbing version because I like to hear what the word they did, and I'm proud of them, and I'm like, oh, that was so good. And so yeah, today I would say that my colleagues inspire me, and the directors with whom I work too.
And how big would you say that the voice acting industry in Canada or the Quebec French dubbing industry is? How big would you say it is?
How big?
Mm.
It's kind of difficult to say. I think it's a little bit less big than in France, in Europe. Um, but I could say we have like 3 studios mainly of dubbing in Montreal. We have maybe 2 other studios. I don't know how you would say that in English. It's not dubbing, but it's really like dubbing, but for reality TV. In French, we say surimpression instead of doublage. So it's when it's reality TV, we want to feel the emotions of the real person in English. So we don't want to dub all their words. So we hear the English in the background, and in front we hear the translation that we did in French. Oh,
Where did the balloons come from?
I
What?
did the balloon.
What? It's ghosting.
Wow, it's incredible. I'm making visual effects as I talk.
That have never happened when I've done this interview.
Oh my God.
Hooray!
So I will not talk with my hands anymore. So we will not have oh wow.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Is it your birthday or something? I don't know.
No, it's not even my birthday. What did I do? Like if I do that, maybe.
Oh,
Oh, you see?
But what was it like this? How?
I don't know how I did the birthday thing, but
That was a bit
I
fun.
don't even know what I was telling you. Can't remember.
We talked about like reality dubbing, sort of.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So I don't know if you have that because maybe it's kind of a French thing
I
to
think
do
like
that
Poland
that
do
version.
that as well, and Germany, I think. But in Sweden, we don't have the industry isn't as big, I would say, because we don't dub 16+ shows. We only dub kids
Oh, okay.
shows. Mm.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, the question was how big it is. So I don't know about in France how big it is, but I know that sometimes we do dubbing for them too. So it's not only in the Quebec industry. It's sometimes we know that we do like a movie that's going to go to Europe. So that's kind of big.
Yeah.
You know.
But do you dub most of the shows for the Quebec French speakers, viewers, audience?
By that, do you mean because we do a dubbing sometimes, but most of the times in kind of normative French.
Oh.
That's more neutral and we sometimes do, but not a lot of time, like Québécois slang movies or things like that, like The Simpsons. I know we have a Quebec version, like Has Been Hotel. It was really a Quebec version. It was not in normative French. It was not neutral. So we hear slangs and things like that.
What is the biggest challenge of working in the dubbing industry, would you say?
Well, in the industry, as I said at first, is like there's a lot of people that want to do that. So in the industry, I think the biggest challenge is that the directors don't forget you. Because when they do the cast of the movies, they have to remember that you exist. So sometimes you have to do a demo again or something like that and send them one. Or, when I do, for example, if I'm in a musical theater show, they see on my Facebook that I did the show and then they talk to me about it. Oh, I came to see you, blah, 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 blah. And it makes it a conversation. And then it's easier for them to remember me because they're like, oh, yeah, she was in that musical theater. But when you don't do anything else than this, you really have to, I think, send emails. So, and if you go on vacation or if you want to do a big trip of 3 months, when you can't come back, if you're at your first steps in dubbing and they don't really know you well, after 3 months, you have to send another email or do observation. We do a lot at the beginning. Just go to see some dubbing in the studios when you can, just to say, hey, I'm here, I exist, So yeah, in the industry, it would be that. And when you do the dubbing, I think the challenge is really you want the people to feel exactly the real emotions that they could have had in the original version. They don't want the people to just hear a dubbing actor. So I think that would be the most challenging thing, to be really close to the real version. So they're immersed in the movie and not just thinking about, oh, you did that's weird or something,
Yeah.
So it's really difficult.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Would you say that the industry is very stressful with tight deadlines?
Personally, I don't. At first, it's always stressful, but I don't find that it's stressful because every people who work in that industry are passionate about dubbing. It's not like I'm punching in, punching out of my job. It's like we're there because there's a reason. We really love that. There's not people who came in the dubbing industry and just want to make money by doing this without being passionate or something like that. They'll not be there a long time. because people will not want to cast them in anything, at some point. So yeah, everybody is so nice, and so I don't feel the pressure. The only thing is when sometimes when we do, like, for example, Has Been Hotel, um, Amazon Prime wanted to have the show like in 2 weeks. Yeah, so we kind of had to do all the songs and all of the episode in 2 weeks. So if we'll talk about it later, but if you have a cold or something and you have to postpone your recordings and everything, you can't really postpone it that much. So you have to figure out a way to, yeah, to do something,
Yeah.
even if you're not really good. So that might be the most stressful part, but other than that, I don't feel it's so stressful.
Would you say it's easier to break into the industry if you're born already into a family who already works with the voice acting, or if you're a celebrity?
I would say if you're born into a family already in the industry, of course, it's always easier because, as I said, it's the thing of contacts, really. Um, and of course, you have to be good. Like, I understand they have pressure. If, for example, if my dad would be in the industry and I wanted to do dubbing, it would be easier for me to get in. But you have to prove yourself. So if you're not good, maybe they'll let you like have more chances than other. But at the end, if you're not good, they're not gonna keep you that long. And if you're a celebrity, I don't think it's the same thing. I would say in animated movie, it could work. Like, for example, Toy Story. I know that people would want to go see a movie because I don't know, Lady Gaga. I do I say anything, but like if any Lady Gaga was doing a voice on in the Trolls or something like that, or in Toy Story, they would be like, "Oh my God, she did the little this little character. It's so nice." So that would work. But if a celebrity was doing a live action movie, I don't think it would be the same thing because when you see a live action movie, you want to be in the emotions and emerge into the movie. So you don't want to be like, oh yeah, that's Lady Gaga's voice.
Mm.
So it would not work as well as in animated movies. That is just like funny and it's nice to know the voices in there.
Yeah, because I know that in some countries, celebrity casting is a big problem, and sometimes it feels like it prevents other voice actors to get a role that they could have gotten.
Mhm.
Do you think that's a
Yeah.
problem, or?
Well, I always said to my colleagues that if a celebrity get a part and do a good job, like a really good job, well, I don't have anything to say. So congrats, it was good, and good for you. But if the celebrity had the part and is not a dubbing person, or I don't know, he or she doesn't do a good job, now we have a problem, I think. I'm like, we're a lot of people that could do a better job than you. And I always think about not only myself, but my other colleagues that are so good. And I'm like, my friend could have done that better than that.
Mm.
So at that point, I don't understand why they took. Well, I understand. We all understand why, but it's frustrating to see that they took him just for the celebrity thing and not because he's good at it. So yeah, if it's good, if the person is good, perfect. If it is not, now we have a problem.
Yeah. Do you think that voice actors get enough recognition for the work they do behind the scenes?
Oh, good question. Um, well, I think we could have a little bit more recognition, but at the same time, every people who do dubbings don't want to be famous in a way. We don't really want to be recognized. We like the anonymous thing, you know? Yeah, that's a good question. But for example, when I went to The Lion King, because at the end they do the credits in the movie theater, and a lot of the times the credits of dubbing voices are really, really at the end. So you have all the credits of the movie, and then there's like a black screen. And after that, you have the credits of the dubbing voices. And sometimes I'm like, we're really, really, really like on the background. And sometimes I'm like, could you just like put it a little much in front? Because we did like a big job for the movie. It could be very not that good if we did a bad job. So, but in The Lion King, after the movie, I had like, it was incredible. I was so excited. I had like my name, only mine, in big and in Lion King letters.
Ooh.
So it was, yeah, I know. So it was just like Elisabeth Gauthier Pelletier in the big screen. And I was like, oh my God. I couldn't realize because all the time the credits are at the end, and now it was like my big name, and every other name were like single one like this in the big screen. So that was kind of, oh, that was nice, you know. So we like that, but we're not people that want to be famous. No. Maybe yeah, I would just add maybe sometimes we would like, I think, to have the opportunity to just maybe to see the movie for free or something
Yeah.
like that. Because you're like, I did a pretty good job and I have to pay to go see me. Like if I go 3 times, okay, I'm gonna pay, but just for one time, that would be nice to say, like to have one ticket, you know.
Mm.
But at the same time, I know that movie theaters today are having a pretty hard time. So, well, I'm just talking for talking, but thinking about
Yeah.
your question. But yeah,
But you haven't gotten any like invitations from any theater to like, oh,
never,
you've been in this movie. Wow, come.
never,
Okay.
never. And when they do animated movie like Lion King in United States, I know that they do a big red carpet with the like dubbing voices, and it's like pretty big and all. And in Europe too, I think.
It depends on in
I'm
which
not sure.
language. Oh,
Oh,
balloons again.
I did it again. Is it that? No.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
uh,
Okay. I don't have to. I can do a piece with my hand.
it depends on in which country, because I know that German dub is really big, but I
Okay.
don't think still they get enough recognition. But
Mm.
I haven't talked to any German voice actors, so I can't really know for sure.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I know
And
that.
I think it's,
Mm,
yeah.
you can go on.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I know that sometimes when I go on the internet to see, it's difficult to find who did the voices. So maybe that's a thing that could be better. Have someone, or I don't know how it would work, but that our names could be somewhere, you know?
Just like in Sweden, we barely credit. That's hilarious, but we barely credit enough. Well, the voice actor's
Oh, yeah.
job. So sometimes it's even wrong in the credit list. I'm out like, that's not the person who voiced. So it's a bit sad because.
Oh, yeah. Oh, really?
Mm.
Yeah, that's sad.
Mm,
Yeah.
so sometimes people tend to say like, oh, only the original version can be good, and that the dubbed version can never live up to the standards.
I think uh, it's better and better. Like we're yeah. Before when you hear like old dubbing, you're like, what is happening? So it's getting better. But I understand why people like the original version. And the thing is, of course, I think it's always gonna be kind of better because how could I explain you? Um, the body of the actor goes well with what he did with his voice, and you want to know what choices of acting he decided to go for. Like, I'm excited to go to see the Joker movie, and I want to see what Joaquin Phoenix did and what Lady Gaga did in the movie. But if I go see a dubbing version, I will not really see the true acting skills, you know? And uh, when you listen to dubbing version, I think what's happening is, I don't know if you know the term, but we call it the uncanny valley.
I heard that, I think.
Uncanny valley, we can use this term in video games too. So, for example, in video games, you're playing, and let's say your character, you're, I don't know, you're running and someone's after you, and then you jump, and when you jump, your character, instead of doing a jump voice, so like that, you hear, ah,
Oh.
you will be like, what? What the fuck? So you will not be in your game anymore. You will be outside, and as I said earlier, you will be like, what, why does the dubbing person did that? That was weird, and you're not in your game anymore. So I think there is this kind of uncanny valley um, when you hear a movie with dubbing. When we do the dubbing in studio, we're alone most of the time. And since COVID, we're like uh, alone a lot more than before the COVID. So it's really tough to have the exactly right emotion um, than what they did in English. Because when I'm alone, what's happening is that I see like the rhythmal band at the top of the movie, and when they press the record button, it's all silent in the studio. I don't even hear my colleague doing his line because we will hear it in the recording, so we cannot do that. And then I just say my lines, and I'm answering their questions, but without like hearing anything. So, and them in the original version, when they did the movie, it's easier because you're on set with the clothes on, the makeup, the hair done. You have your colleagues in front of you that gives you like he's crying in front of you, and you have to cry too. So it's kind of easier to get to the emotion we have to get to. But in dubbing, we don't hear anything, and we're in the studio, and we have to be like the better version we could do, but without any of these things. So of course, of course, at the end, it's gonna be not as good as the original version. But in some case, when we do like kind of little production of movie, sometimes the actors are not that good. So we can do kind of our thing. And we're like, oh, I'm not going to do this line as she did in English. I'm going to try to elevate the quality a little bit because she was not really good, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes it happens, but I understand why people like the original version better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is a big discussion right now. The AI voices starts to become a thing, and
Yeah.
like it takes away, first of all, the work for what a voice actor do, and it's a bit scary because we still want to convey the emotions through the acting, and I don't think that an AI voice can do such a thing, because I can hear in some production in the original they use an AI voice, but I was like, that didn't sound like real acting. It sounds so emotionless, flat. And then I listened to
Exactly.
the dub version, and I was like, yeah, that sounds so more real and even better than the original.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, it's really sad for us. We're very scared of that too. We're talking about it like I think every day in the studios. Um, yeah, it's really tough because for now, what we hear about the AI is it's not that good, as you said. Like we can hear the metallic voice and the non-humanly voice of the AI, but we're afraid it's gonna be better in not such a long time. So that's what's scary,
yeah.
in fact. And yeah, we're scared that like maybe in 2 or 3 years it will be very good to to do exactly the same job as we do. So yeah, it's not nice. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I know that we heard that Hollywood for now prefer the human voices for the dubbing industry. And that we heard that maybe for now it would be more like the technician job that would be a little bit taken by the AI, like doing the traduction. It takes a long time to find to do to translate. So the AI could do like a first big job, and then a human person could just fine tune something about it. So they would have less job. Yeah, the AI is not gonna take the dubbing, the voice uh, out like today, but we don't know when.
So
So that's what's scary. Yeah.
I hope
I hope
it
the
won't
AI is not gonna
replace
be good.
like.
I hope.
Mm,
I hope we will like always hear the AI voice and recognize it. I hope that really, because it will not be just scary for the dubbing industry, it would be scary for fake news too. Like how are we gonna know that what we see on TV or on the like Facebook or Instagram that it is real or not? If they can, I don't know if you heard about it, but that they can like I think they took the like Drake voice or the guy from The Weeknd
oh,
and they did a song. So the AI wrote a melody. They wrote the lyrics and they made they made like Drake sing it. So they took a singer that we know, and it imitated his voice, and we were like, yeah, it could be a Drake song. It was in the style and all. So that's weird. So yeah, I think for the world in all, uh, it would not be a good thing if it comes too good. So yeah, for fake news and everything. So
What advice would you give aspiring voice actors? What common mistakes should they avoid?
common mistakes, I think, and a lot at the beginning would be to not breathe. You're trying to do the same thing as the person in English. And I would say that what is not easy to do is that I am an actress in real life, you know. I do other gigs and all and other shows. And when I do dubbing, I'm not playing the character as me, the actress, would have played it. So I have to play it the way as the actor played it. For example, in English or in Spanish or whatever, you know. So it's pretty hard because sometimes you're uh, not that you're not happy with it, but you don't agree with the choices they did as an actor. You're like, I wouldn't have done this like that. And sometimes they have like, how do you call it? Like, bad habits, I would say, bad actor habits. For example, um, doing that. So, you know, they're stressed or something like that, and they're always doing this, but in the dubbing, we have to do that. Oh, if my character does this, I always have to do this in French too. Oui, alors, ben c'est ça. You know, you want to really imitate the one in English, but you forget to breathe. So it's important for these people to just remember that you have yourself, you're not just the other person. You have to just breathe within your lines because otherwise it's not going to sound uh, like humanly. It's going to sound just really technical. And then we will, well, that's what's going to do the difference between an AI and a human because we can breathe into the lines and everything. But if I do that and I talk like this, you're going to be like, well, AI could do that job. Oh, and not be too much on the rhythm band. And you know what is the rhythm band, right?
Uh, I don't think so.
Okay, so I'll explain to you. It's when you're dubbing, you're in the studio, you have the movie in front of you, and at the top of it, you have what we call rhythm band. So it's kind of similar as a
Oh.
karaoke, you know?
Hmm.
So you have the lines like going through it like that, and you have a vertical line. And when the lines are going on the vertical line, you have to say what's written. So it's really like a karaoke. But yeah, so some people might be too much on the rhythm band, so it sounds more technically. Because on the rhythm band, we have to, well, here we have all the, for example, the inspiration, expiration with the, is it an inspiration by the nose or by the mouth? Or an expiration by the mouth or by the nose. So you have the lines that you have to say, but sometimes you have like for example, it's gonna be written MTE. So it's just like the sound of the mouth opening when you start a line. So you start, you know. So you have the lines, but you have also kind of little sounds. Or like when you kiss someone, it's gonna be written like kiss,
Ah,
you know, to help us
yeah.
to be better. But if you just look at the rhythm band, it's gonna sound technical. But you have to go always like your eyes have to do how could I say it? Your eyes always have to go up and down, always have to go to the rhythm band, and at the same time looking at the screen in front of you to see the eyes of the character, because the eyes always telling exactly like the emotion he has. So yeah, I think that would be the most common mistake, to just be at the rhythm band, because there's just too much information on there. And at first, it's really difficult to do all of that, these inspiration, opening mouth thing, and saying the lines, and trying to have a good diction, like you're a good normative French, and to be in the emotion at the same time. That's quite a lot. So you forget sometimes to go to the screen. But the most important thing is the emotion. If the emotion is not there, well, you may be really technical, but I don't care about the movie.
Mm.
I think it's the same thing in musical theater for me. When I go to see a musical theater, if the singer, for example, have great skills and is a really great singer, but he doesn't show any real emotion, then I'd be like, "Meh, okay, whatever."
Mm.
But if they're not um, spot on the technicality, and sometimes they do like bad notes and they're flat, but the emotion is there, I don't care. Like it's pretty good, no? So I think it's the same thing in the dubbing industry. If it's not quite right with the mouth, but the emotion is there, I think everybody prefers that. I want to feel that you really cry, and that you're really sad that you lost your dog or something, you know? I don't want to be perfect with the lips at that point.
What are the major differences between the Quebec French and the European French language? Can speakers from both regions understand each other well enough to watch each other's dub versions?
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, it's French. So,
Okay.
yeah, so we can really understand each other's version. Uh, but I will come back to the uncanny valley effect that I talked about sooner. Is that sometimes I listen to a European dubbing movie, and they use expressions or something like that that I don't know what it means in here. So it kind of set me back of the movie, and I'm like, oh, I'm not in the movie anymore. So I think that's why we prefer to have each other's version, because it's the same thing for the European people. When they see Quebec version, they're like, what does that word mean? Like they don't recognize themselves as a person into this character, because they're not talking the same way. So I think that's why we have both our version. But as I said too, like sometimes we make dubbing that goes to France. So we use a neutral French. Um, and the differences would be that when we know that we do a movie that's going to go to France, for example, there is pronunciation that are different. sometimes there's like a name that you could do two kind of pronunciation with it. One that is really similar to the English version. So we keep it kind of English, and another one that's really, really French. And sometimes when we do it to like the French version, here in Quebec, we're like, what? That doesn't sound right. But in France, they're like, yes.
So let's go for the quiz then. Are you ready?
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Maybe Swedish?
Meglio non cantare per loro.
La troia è troppo presa dalla canzone. Sì, sta
Spanish.
parlando.
Or Portuguese, oh my God. Italian? It's Japanese. It's German. No. Perdón. This is Spanish. Yeah. En français.
So the first one you had corrected that it was Swedish.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And Happy Day
Not
and
bad.
Hell was Italian.
Oh, yeah. And then I said Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the third one was Greek.
Oh, I had it. I didn't had it in my
Oh,
voices.
did I actually? Oh, sorry. Did I accidentally delete that?
Tu dois dire pardon.
The first one you had right. It was Japanese. Poison.
Uh-huh.
And the fifth one was German, more than anything.
Uh-huh.
And then Hell is Forever, that was Portuguese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It
And
was Portuguese. Okay.
and the seventh one you had right. It was Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the last one, French. Piece of cake.
Obviously. Phew.
You at least had right on French.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God.
It would have been so funny if you had wrong on the French one.
Italian. Bitch. Well, in fact, it was French.
Yes.
Oh.